Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dubious Book Club podcast. I'm Aubrey, one of your Dubious Creatures, and say hi, other Dubious Creatures. And we have some special guests who will also tell
Hey,
you who they
yo,
are and where you can find them.
I'm one of the other creatures. It's me, a misfit, the person who runs the socials. If you've ever interacted with them, that's me. But yes, we have guests. So guests, introduce yourselves.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I am GM Justin. You can find me on all my socials at Forever GM Justin. You can also find me over at Roll D5. We specialize in playing indie TTRPGs. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to talking about what we've read.
I guess that moves over to me. It's Jayden King on all social media at It's Jayden King, doing all things TTRPG, storytelling, game design, tech, and just being overall an industry coach. All I have to say is this life, this end, my gift to you. Let's go.
Well, and yeah, today for this month, we are going to be discussing Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. And before we get into things, content warnings. This book has graphic violence, gore, death of a parent, death of a child, torture, poisoning, animal death, and mentions of SA. So yeah, if this is not your thing, feel free to take a break, walk away, and anything super big, I will try and mention it before it comes up, because this book does not hold back.
This book has hands right out the fucking gate.
Yeah, it does. Holy shit!
It does set the tone very early on, letting you know, like, hey, you thought this is going to be a good experience? Well,
Yeah, this
buckle
would
up.
be a good, fun time where nice things happen.
No.
It was like you open up the book, first page, a hand just comes out and slaps you in the face. It's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this.
But I actually want to talk about that already. Is like, I love the introduction because it sets off a tone of like, hey, you've heard of stories that could be one way. This ain't it. So just be aware.
What's the very first sentence of the book again? It's
I have it right here. I can read it.
yes, please.
Very first sentence of the book is people often shit themselves when they die.
Like, okay,
and that's
that.
the tone.
Like, I think what I love about that is it's just like always when you have things that are graphic, especially when they're violent and they're got these like graphic horror or anything, it's always painted with this brush of, oh, wonder. But going off with the fact that people shit themselves are like, listen, we're going to have murder and death, but we're going to double down in it.
Yes.
I love in the world building, kind of later on, but even early on too, where they talk about how the world smells. And as a person with an incredibly potent sense of smell, I love that is a sense that they bring in because it activates all the right parts of my brain.
They certainly do spend a lot of time about smell, and the first chapter of this book is called Firsts. And it certainly is.
Is a first for so many things. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. First time, murder. First time,
First murder. First time.
So I have like so many thoughts, so many things. So the first, what I love, I just want to talk about that. I love the analogy, or I guess the comparison of it being a first time and a first time, and the like poetic nature of it being kind of the idea of impaling versus being impaled, the taste versus the taste, the sensation versus sensation, and how they both are like this loss of innocence in its own right at the same time.
I completely agree with you. As like I had to go back and like re-listen to it a couple times to make sure that that's what I was getting, because sometimes those cutaways from like Mia's perspective to what is happening would confuse my little dyslexic brain. But yes, I completely agree with you. Oftentimes, and like I'm a big serial killer person, I love murder porn. It's just a thing. Sorry, not sorry. The thing that you find a lot of times is when people are impotent, they use stabbies as a way to mimic the act of intercourse. Penetration. That's a much better word.
Yes. I wanted to double down. I also, because I watch Criminal Minds a lot and psychoanalysis on that, and I think first my like last evaluation on that comparison of the first and what it carries through the rest of the story is that there is something beautiful about the nature of the murder being poetic, artistic, but also I feel personally a heavy allegory to like sexual awakening and what it brings out in someone and what they become through that experience in like a strong poor little things what's a poor little thing movie kind of vibe
Yeah.
through Mia's journey in the beginning.
Oh yeah, very much so. And one of the things that always makes me laugh a little bit, and just a weird fact that I always remember is in French, an orgasm is called le petit mort, the little death, and that was very apt because they use that phrasing in the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
French were onto something.
They really were.
Sometimes they were.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, this book kind of just throws you in there with these characters and what's going on. And it's very weird because I feel like this book is told from second person perspective at points.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a while to get used to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like I said. Oh, what?
No, you go for it.
No, I was just gonna say those cutaways were really hard for me. It made those first few chapters like I would say it took me as a dyslexic probably the first 3 chapters before my brain started really getting used to like the rapid switching of perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's the first fantasy book I think I've read in a very long time that has extremely extensive footnotes.
Yeah, for me, just as like visually, I see it in my head. Like as I'm like listening to it, like I'm visualizing as everything is going on. But then when it does the cutaway, I'm just like, what? Well, hold on, what? So I have to like go back and like kind of re-listen to it as best as I can, just to like, okay, let me get my footing here. All right, cool. Grasp what was said before we go right back to whatever the scene was. So yeah, it was a little jarring for me too. Just,
This was one of the first books where I had to make notes.
yeah.
I had to pause and make notes.
Yeah, I challenge with the alternative perspective of time, especially because there's also in the present day, there's a lot of asides that we like would say something and be like, oh yeah, based on that one word I said, here's several paragraphs going into a deep explanation of that, but also we're gonna cut right back.
Here's half a page about a rude gesture.
Yeah.
The origin of a rude gesture. And I'm like, this is fascinating. And my academic brain loves it, but my fiction brain is just like, because I wasn't paying attention, because I usually listen while I work sometimes, or when I'm like working out and stuff. And then suddenly like I zone out for like 5 seconds. And then suddenly we're talking about the history of a rude gesture. And I'm like, wait, what happened?
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Yes. But outside of that, it's actually quite good.
Yes.
Yep.
I think once you get on the pacing of it and you hear the cues of like the narration switching, you can start to split your brain into the two halves and like switch gears.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, it's so interesting because Mia Corvair is our main character, but also the story is being told about her from like an outsider's perspective.
It feels like I always imagine the story being told from Mr. Kindly perspective.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Just like as a chronicler of Mia's rather unfortunate life.
Oh, she's really had an unfortunate life. We will definitely get into that.
Has.
Yeah.
I also, side note, let's go on a side note here, like our author. I love the vibe and the feel of the setting so fucking much. This like Italian Renaissance meets like I'm living in a demon skeleton thing is really cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm a huge Dishonored fan, so I get strong Dishonored energy reading this.
Yes, 100%. Oh my god, nail on the head. Yes.
Yeah, like as I'm seeing it from the view of like playing the games and seeing the dark like diesel punk energy to it, the like divine prophecies lingering about, the oil slick streets, like I see it. It's well developed in a way that I could smell it. And that one was a big one for me. It's because I could smell while I'm listening, and I'm like, some of those smells I didn't like, but also I appreciate that I could smell all of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, I feel really immersed. Oh god, I feel really immersed.
Oh god.
For me, it was less about the description of the smells, but it was more about like the description of how like the nights were, how the days were, and with like how things are done, like in obviously contrast to how our world is with like our revolves revolutions, you know, with like our days to their days. That I found really fascinating. I would love to go back and just kind of like re-listen to all of that again and just kind of like take notes on that, because on my walks with my dog, I'm listening to this and I'm like looking at it, I'm like listening to it and like hearing the description of just like, you know, how long it takes for an actual like day to go on by. It's one of those where like I wish I had like a notebook on me, because I want to like capture that, because I think that kind of a world is like really cool to me.
So
Go ahead.
the 3 sons thing, or like the 2 sons. No, it's 3.
It's 3.
3 sons.
3 sons.
And then the god, their 2 children.
2 sons.
Yes,
or 2 daughters.
And his 2 daughters, and you know.
And then the moon or night was banished.
Sure.
Because
also had 2 children or something like that.
Yeah, because she dared to have a son.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the god was not a fan of that, and was it seemed like if I remember correctly, he felt there was a feeling of threat because of that, even though like they made the promise like, hey, you won't have any sons, and then like when that happened, it was there was that feeling of like jealousy, like a son would come up, and maybe it was just from what I listened to, that I got the feeling of like the fear from that god of having his place being taken by the sun at some point in the future. I was interested in that. I haven't thought too much deeper into it since then, but now that we're talking about it, it's like I'm curious. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are, because I'm processing it again, and I'm thinking like how we go from that.
So I love religious studies in all kinds of media, and particularly ones that go with like divine light and what that kind of does, especially because this has like a strong, to me, Egyptian connection to like Ra, and how they go about it. I feel like the principle is like had daughters so that they could spread their power and authority around. And the idea of having a male figure in the family is a patriarchal like idea that a son could eventually challenge me, which emphasizes the fact that there's a very strong patriarchal view, and like the fact that all the leaders are male. Every individual who has any power, authority, or representation is male, while the women are focused on being what seems to be represented, as the time shows, subservient to their male counterparts or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of reinforcing this like patriarchal doctrine, which I think is what also makes the poetic nature of the Ma more beautiful.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
And then what is it? It's like the fact that the idea is that for years it's exclusively sunlight, if I understand it correctly, and like once every so many years there's a period of time where it will finally be like nighttime or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like a leap year gives you nighttime.
Yeah, and it's such a short period of time where you actually have that nighttime. So like you had mentioned,
I think it's like 3 years and then 3 nights of actual night.
Yeah, which further
No,
reinforces.
it takes 3 days for the sun to fully set.
And then it takes like 3 days for it to come back.
Yeah. But there's a lot of 3 involved.
Oh, because it's 3 days of sun for each of for Ah and their 2 daughters, and then it's 3 nights, I think, for Ma and the son and the daughter, and then there's supposed to be like a 7th turn that's supposed to represent. So I know it was in there somewhere that was trying to break it down.
I need
Jay
notes.
Christoph, give us your world building document.
Thank you. Can you just hand me the notes? That'd be great.
Honestly speaking, I was reading through this and I was like, this would make a really killer game setting.
I was already, I'm
Yes.
kidding not, my brain was already like 3 steps ahead on that. I was like, okay, if I were to do a campaign and I've got, the Luminaries with these, oh yeah, let's do it. Let's run a little mini campaign.
It is really hilarious that you mentioned that, is because this is the first time I'm actually like finishing this book, but I bounced off this book many times, and I took some of the world building early on in this book and used it for one of my current settings.
It's so
was it your
hell yeah.
Everdark setting?
Yeah, it's for Noxlight.
Nox, that's one. Right. Sorry. Everdark is a whole different thing, I think. Oh, my brain.
And mine is a world that hasn't seen the sun in 100 years.
Oh, I
Equally
love
cool
the world
setting.
building so much. It just, there's so much detail into it, which I think is why that's why the asides were so rough, because I feel like J. Kristoff was definitely like, listen, the world building matters, because it does. There is, what I will say is this, as much as the asides were, almost every aside had, at least world building wise, was relevant.
Yeah.
Even if it was minor, it wasn't just like, oh, here's a random fact. It was almost to like cut the tension in some points where it's like real heavy and almost dry. And it added like this witty humor as a satirical point on how ridiculous society is, to keep you from like getting indoctrinated into like, this is how society works, but also they're flawed. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, there is certainly a lot.
It is an interesting world building project. I can't wait for him to actually write a book about it.
Yeah.
That is the part that we've commented, is the amount of asides that really give you depth of some very inane things that are fun. And I feel like I've seen TTRPG setting books specifically that do that. They're like, hey, here's a little bit of world building, and also here's a little bit of like novel. But no, seriously, here's more world building notes.
Some pages have
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 footnotes on them.
It's worse the further into the book you get. Like, you'll know that the first couple chapters, it's relatively conservative with the asides, and then it just keeps going and going.
Yeah. Right, since we're only like, I've noticed that, like, I want to talk about how like the later parts definitely starts doubling down.
Oh yeah.
Like trying to get the dissertation word count minimum expectation towards that part.
For sure. Did you have any thoughts on chapter 1, Sawyer?
Y'all fucking
And murdering?
Sometimes it's one and the same.
I mean, look, I don't know, man. It's the book begins with sometimes they never tell you how they shit themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, aren't we feeling spicy?
Just a little spicy.
Yeah, just like,
Just a
now that we
bit.
told you that, here's the sex scene. And it's like, oh, this is going to be a fun bit of edgy nonsense, isn't it?
Yes, and it never stops being edgy.
It really doesn't.
No, this is some middle school fanfic levels of edgy right here. Let's fucking go.
I do have to say, when I started the book, I actually started it as I was starting to do yard work. So when I had pushed play and I began working on on like moving rocks, because that's a thing here in my city. As soon as it got started and that was like the first line, I like stood straight up. I'm like, what in the, and if some of my neighbors were like nearby and they looked at me and I'm like, I pointed to my headphones and kind of waved at them, and they're like, and they gave me a thumbs up, and I'm just like, what the hell am I listening to?
Yes, that is the correct response, by the way.
Yeah, very, very correct response. Because then chapter 2 goes, let's remember when she watched her father hang.
I'm just like,
Oh
that must
my
be a new
God.
record for the tragic backstory.
Right?
Well, listen, if you're going to build a rogue, you have to make sure that they feel all the roguey nonsense. Like it's a checklist.
That's
Yes.
fair. That's
Yeah.
also very fair.
Awkward first time, dead parent,
Mhm.
tragic city,
Mhm.
losing everything you once loved. You know, you really have to stack them up. Otherwise, your rogue isn't really a rogue.
Truth.
Yeah.
It what is it? It gave Arya Stark to me. Like
Yes.
Oh my
as it was
God,
going on through, it
yes.
was like,
Yeah.
like did you guys
Yes.
how inspired were you from Game of Thrones? I have to know this because this is what it's giving to me right now.
It's one part. I don't know. It's like equal measures. This fucking cocktail of AG nonsense is equal measures of Arya Stark's arc from Game of Thrones, the Dark Brotherhood quest line from Skyrim, and just a little bit of Assassin's Creed sprinkled in for good measure.
Just for flavor.
I feel like someone was trying to make a shadow monk, and chapter 2 was their character backstory.
Yeah. Although I do appreciate getting a new nickname for my Lovecraftian shadow demon, isn't that right, Sheol? I will now refer to you as Mr. Kindly from now on.
I liked that name a lot.
It's very good.
I love Mr. Kindly so much.
Mr. Kindly is fun. We need more sarcastic shadow demons in literature.
I do love that. Like when you get a demonic, especially an eldritch entity of any kind, and it gets an innocuous cat name. Like imagine have a Cthulhu cat and going, oh, this is little Fiddles. And you're like, no, that's not.
Hey guys, here's my eldritch horror being. It's Mr. Sprinkles. He's a cute and adorable little being. Say hi.
Ignore the not eyes and the not smile.
Yes.
Mr. Whiskers, have you been devouring the souls of the innocent again? Yeah. Also, for those at home, Sheol is the name of my very real and sadly sadly quite Euclidean Maine Coon. If you don't know who he is by now, what the fuck are you guys doing? He's the mascot of our he's on the website.
Oh,
He's on the website. Yeah.
Sheol and my cat Isaac are on the website.
Yeah.
Why is Pippin not on the website? Hold the phone.
I don't, because
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, clearly you haven't
management.
Clearly you haven't bribed. Look, clearly you haven't bribed Ilona enough. Is all I'm going to say. She knows which side. She knows. She knows what's good for her.
Also in chapter 2, we get like a little bit more of a look at like what's going on and where she's going, because she gets on the boat to head to leave God's grave.
Okay, but like her mom holding her up to witness what happened to her dad is fucked.
It's so fucked.
My whole takeaway from that chapter is that scene. And I was like, what is happening? This book has so many hands.
Just never flinch.
Listen, her mom was like, listen, you need to be traumatized so you don't let these men do what men do.
Yes.
Listen,
I think
an entire
her
book
mom
about it.
knew.
Listen, protagonist ain't for pussies shows shut up and watch your father be unfairly executed.
Because her father was the head of a failed revolution.
Yeah, because the fucking God's grave is I mean, it's basically fantasy Rome meets fantasy Venice with, again, just a light dash of fantasy Catholicism for good measure.
And a dash of the city from Dishonored.
Yeah, it's, and again, the only reason I know that is because I read the asides.
Oh yeah.
So many asides.
You don't have a choice when you're listening to the audiobook. The narrator just goes.
goes on.
I wonder
Yeah.
what the book would sound like if you took out all the asides. I'm just real curious, you know, like
It would probably be so fast.
Well,
Oof,
yeah,
I think it would flow quite a bit better.
I read the book. Yeah, I read the book just without. So the ebook version has little, like, the asides are little links to other fucking appendix area, and fuck me if that doesn't mess with your flow every time you click on one.
Yeah.
Because then you have to click back on the same little asterisk or whatever to get back to the page you were on, but sometimes that doesn't take you back to the direct page. It's a headache.
Oof. Yeah, no, just on the print version there at the bottom of the page and stuff. But yeah, it's sometimes just like, especially when you're listening to the audiobook, it's just boom, we're now on an aside, and my voice has only changed just a little bit to let you know that we're on an aside.
Yeah, like we'd love to talk about the actual content of the plot if we could get through all these fucking asides. We'd love to talk about what's actually happening to Mia Corvere. I bet you didn't even realize she had a name at this point. But we can't. We still have homework to do.
imagine
So much
reading a
homework.
fiction book and having homework assignments each day.
What are you, an RPG player?
Also, we watched
Disgusting.
Ian murder someone else on the boat.
Oh, yeah, shit,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The handsy sailor.
Right. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
okay, but he deserved it.
He did.
I know,
They
but
both did.
there's a bit of a problem that this book reveals with that scene, and it's not necessarily like every time Mia has a moment to breathe, some asshole walks into view because unfortunately the book has an issue with trying to create conflict in scenes that otherwise are meant to just be, well, not immediately imperiling somebody. So there's always some dude who's looking askance. And I mean, it's not like you really care what happens to them, but that's another problem I have with the book is that I don't really give a shit what happens to anybody in this book.
That was my problem too. Especially in the first half, I couldn't care less about any person who was dying because I was like, oh, okay.
Because they're all assholes.
Oh, okay. I
Yep.
mean, there's
Like-
nobody redeemable early on in any way, shape, or form. And they just kind of bring people in to be like, see this person. But I think they brought him in just to be like, see, look how bad things are. They deserve to die. So Mia's got to do what Mia's got to do.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, oh God, we're going full grimdark with this one, aren't we?
Yeah.
'Cause,
Anytime
you
a new
know-
character was introduced, I was like, oh, what are they going to do to piss off Mia or someone close to Mia where they're going to have to die?
Yeah, like
Yeah. Because when we
The
get to
only-
chapter 3, that's when they're just like, wow, you know how things are going to get worse? Listener, if you are sensitive to pet death, just skip chapter 3.
yeah, they fucking
Mhm.
killed Captain Puddles.
That was the part that I actually cared about.
Those bastards killed Captain Puddles. That cat only existed for like a couple of pages. And already I feel like the most sympathetic character in the entirety of Nevernight died tragically.
Protecting Mia.
Yeah, her backstory doesn't get any. Look, long story short. Long story very short, because there isn't time. We've got 4 more pages of background information to get through. Mia Corvere is from a noble family of the Trajan Republic, which rules over the city-state of Godsgrave. And basically, her dad tried to pull an unsuccessful Julius Caesar and suffered the consequences. And then shit just got worse from there. And now Mia is on a revenge quest against the people who, wronged. Again, it's Arya Stark.
Yeah.
It's Arya Stark. Like, yeah, it's not even particularly subtle.
Yeah, her whole mission is to hunt down everybody who was contributed to her father's death, is at least what we are given.
Yeah. I think it would probably help with the whole motivation surrounding the revenge arc if we got just the smallest snapshot of life pre everything going to shit?
A little bit. Like we've got the consequences of the rebellion, but I'm like, what was the rebellion trying to fix specifically?
Yeah, like because apparently the Atrean Republic, overthrew is called Republic because it overthrew its monarchy, and I'm like, okay, fair.
Yeah.
And then apparently the reason why the Corvaires got shafted is because they're avowed monarchists, but
Yep.
apparently democracy also doesn't really function in this universe, which okay, also fair. But again, it's like you're not giving us a lot of reasons to root for any side in particular. And again, that's a problem that the book just has
I also
generally.
like make a note to that is like when they talk about the individuals in charge, they paint everything as kind of better than it was before.
Yeah. I mean, look, so Chancellor Palpatine, well, okay, his name's Scava, but he's Chancellor Palpatine, let's be real.
Yeah, he's Golden
Um,
Palpatine.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a good guy, but he seems to be he seems to have generally improved some things.